everybody, and welcome to Encounter Roleplay. My name is Will, I'm a D&D sex icon, and I'm here today with the full cast and crew of Call of Cthulhu Doors to Darkness. It's episode 1. It's a big day. It's a big moment for all of us here today, and we're all very excited. So let's start things off by introducing ourselves and introducing our characters briefly. We'll get more into it in a second, but I will start, as I always do, below myself now, with my friend Redundant UK. Tom, how you doing, my friend?
I am very, very good. Thank you very much. I have been waiting for this for many, many weeks, about 2, 3, something like that. They have been very long weeks, but we're finally here, and I cannot wait to get started.
Great stuff. I think everyone is loving some of the outfits.
Resplendent offering.
Very much appreciate it. Oh man, that's a good 4 wild magic searches for Donnie to kick things
and
off.
So it starts.
So it begins. So it begins, my friends. All right, beautiful. We also have with us tonight Greg, Grimjack21502. Greg, how you doing, my friend?
Oh, I'm doing well, buddy. I'm doing well. Here, play a little caster. Got my journal, ready to write down notes. Sitting beside the oldest investigator ever. Cannot wait. We were just as ecstatic as we got in here and saw what she looked like too. Unbelievable stuff. Let's play. It's 1 to 4. It's where it's at. It's always been that way. It'll always be that way. Let's rock it out.
Absolutely. Thank you guys for the subs for coming in here. Appreciate it, Kevin and that guy Frast. Great stuff. We also have with us, is it Lindy? People aren't sure. Lindy, how you doing?
Oh, I'm doing super spiffy. I have been hyped for this episode for weeks. I am ready to play Mildred Crabapple, the 86-year-old lady who just likes to knit some spells and be everybody's grandma. She's got some fresh cookies for everybody, and just ready. I'm so excited.
Amazing as always. The costumes and makeup just get better every season. So I'm already looking forward to next season to see what you come up with next.
Gosh, I don't even know.
But we have with us Don tonight. Don, how you doing, my friend?
I am great. It feels like we haven't played in a long time, and I'm excited for all of the new characters. This is always a crazy fun episode whenever we have our first episode of the season. I'm pumped.
Absolutely. And we also have with us Pruitt. Pruitt, how you doing, my dude?
I'm doing great. Just ready for a new season. It's a new chance to create a new story. We got all these crazy characters. Lindy is just like, Jesus God, that's great. But I'm ready to break out Seth Penhollow. He likes his books, and that's about it. So I can't wait to get to it. Let's go.
Absolutely. Let's do it. Let's do this thing. Actually, I'm going to add the Wild Magic Surges to my counter of donations that I'm keeping a track of, because we've already got in some in our session 0. We'll go through here in a second. Should see a couple of them on the screen, and a couple extra nat ones from Elijah for Greg, of course, have also come in. So there's that. We also, before we start today's game, before we dive into it, I remind you guys of a couple of things. The Season on Encounter Roleplay is sponsored by Fantasy Grounds. All of the maps that you see today and the little handouts and bits I'll be giving off to the players are from Fantasy Grounds. In fact, we're using the Doors to Darkness module on Fantasy Grounds as well. So highly recommend it. And I think,
A magnanimous dispensation.
Damn it, I'm doing my intro, people. The 250 pounds. All right, I'll get to that in a second. Thank you, Latu. Sponsored by Fantasy Grounds. Check it out. I'll show you guys some sexy maps and stuff throughout the course of the season. We're also sponsored by dndice.co.uk. Go over to their website, dndice.co.uk. Serve yourself 5% with all of their beautiful dice over there. And, of course, check out Wayland Games, our miniature sponsor. You can get 20% RRP off pretty much any miniature line that you're looking for. They do D&D minis. They do Warhammer minis. They do 40k minis. They do Magic the Gathering stuff. So check it all out. The link is Commander's just exclamation point sponsor should take you to all of the different links for our sponsors. And you can interact with today's show. Is being abundantly clear to you all. If you haven't followed the show yet, hit the follow button and join us. 20 followers you guys decide what happens next in our campaign. We also have a retweet viewer decision. So on this tweet here, I'll put in the chat for you guys, 20 retweets, and we'll have another viewer decision as well. And of course, you can donate to affect the game by giving players nat 1s, nat 20s, wild magic surges, cursed magic items, and so much worse. So have fun with it, my friends. This is Cthulhu, so you can go as absolutely insane as you want, and it'll only be to the further destruction of the player's sanity. So that can only be a good thing. So let's first of all, let's just check through these donations. So we have an extra 4 wild magic surges for Don. The 2 has given a wild magic surge to Redundant, 1 for Pruitt, 2 for Don, 2 for Greg, and 4 for Lindy. So let me check all of this. An extra 1 for Tom, bringing you up to 5. An extra 1 for Pruitt, bringing you up to 2. An extra 2 for Don, bringing Don up to 8 wild magic surges, because I've keeping a track of, I went through the donations from session 0. And another 2 for Greg, bringing Greg to, I think, just 2. First 2 for Greg, and then an extra 4 for Lindy, bringing her up to 5. So you guys can feel free to roll those as I do our little intro here. You can either do that. I haven't set up a table in Fancy Grounds for that yet, so I'll just send you guys a link to a site that is easy to roll D10Ks in. If you check the chat in the call, you should be able to take a link to that for you guys. But let's dive into our campaign as we get things started here, and let's talk a little bit about Doors to Darkness. So we finished off Nameless Horrors, and our story is continuing on just a couple of years from then, after Sloane has secreted a Necronomicon away and hidden it away from the world. We pick up upon Sloane's return to Caligula and to the world. But I want to first introduce our characters, and I want to first hear a little bit more in detail about your characters for both myself and for the audience. So, Tom, we may be familiar with Sloane, but if we're a first-time watcher, we've never heard of Sloane. So talk to us a little bit about him.
Okay, so Sloane is an unusual fellow. He has been with Caligula most of his life, and he is what one could call an occultist or a mystic. He studies the occult and strange, unusual things, and he has a very strange, unusual thing that's very special to him with his ability of sight, far sight, where if he is to consume or a part of a person, there's a potential for him to have a vision of either the past, present, or future. And it can be true, it can be an emotion, it can be anything. They're very vague, but using this ability has very strong consequences for Sloane, where he loses what you could say control, and another person appears called Matthew. Now, we don't know much about Matthew, but it is quite evident that that Matthew is vulnerable, and perhaps Sloane is there, but normally Sloane takes over and is the one in more control. Do you want me to talk about what he's been doing for the past 2 years, or?
Yeah, let's just go over that in brief.
Okay, so Sloane, at the after the end of the last season, he headed into seclusion with the Necronomicon, and for the past 2 years, he has been attempting to study it within as much safety as he possibly can, taking as many precautions as he possibly can. Naturally, when you are studying such a powerful book, it can have changes to someone. You don't do something like that and come away unscathed. So Sloane is going to be slightly different. He's going to be still the same Sloane that you love and adore, but with a few adjustments here and there, which I'm sure you'll see through season 2.
Great stuff. Thank you, Tom. And Greg, talk to us a little bit about Castor and Laszlo.
Castor is a street performer. He is right around 31 years old. He is from the St. Francis Boys Home in Baltimore. His mentor was a companion is the rhesus monkey Laszlo. And Laszlo will often ride on his shoulder, on the top of his hat. Constant companion, always with him. He has joined Caligula in search of his brother who has gone missing. His brother's name is Kip.
Thank you. And Lindy, talk to us about Mildred.
Well, Mildred was born in the mid-1800s. She learned how to knit from her grandma in South Carolina on their plantation there. She learned how to use her arcane runed knitting needles to cast spells and cast on scarves. Kind of bit cultish, maybe you could call her an occultist, perhaps. They moved up north, and then the Civil War happened. She got married to a nice officer there, hung out with Lincoln a little bit, rubbed some elbows, then he died, and, had a son, but he never calls, he never visits, but, it's how it goes sometimes. She's now been widowed for about 25 years, just after the turn of the century, and so she's been for the past 2 years, year and a half, 2 years, hanging out with Caligula, teaching them how to knit in the knitting circle, some interesting and basic spells, getting to know some of these nice young gentlemen that are here, and just kind of wanting to be friends with a lot of people. She's pretty lonely, so she's excited about this opportunity.
Nice. And Don, talk to us about Louis.
So Luis Delgado is part of the Delgado family, which is New Orleans family, and they've always invested very heavily in sugar, especially sugar from other countries. In his tenure now, he was born on the day that the Civil War ended, so he's pretty old. He's not Mildred old, but he's in his mid-60s. And he's amassed a lot of wealth for the family, especially because he has invested very heavily into Coca-Cola, and that has paid off very well. More recently, he started investing into Caligula, and he's slowly been getting more and more involved with overseeing how his money is being spent. And so he's probably been seen around the headquarters and the various places, but he's not an investigator himself. He's just a money man.
Okay, cool. And what about Seth?
Seth is he's an antique book dealer. He grew up born and raised in Providence, Rhode Island. He only leaves to go investigate rumors of various texts that have popped up for buyers. He doesn't really get along with people that much. He's not quite a misanthrope, but he's very antisocial for the most part. But he knows what to say to get what he needs, and so he's dealt with Caligula a couple times just for hey, come look at this, make sure it's real. That sort of thing, just kind of some contract work, but never really done investigations for them. But he's heard a rumor that the Necronomicon is back in play, and that has perked his ears up a bit because he has a few buyers on the line. And so that's pretty much his focus. He's been kind of hanging around with Caligula maybe a little bit more than usual, just because he kind of has to. He's got the scent now, and he's trying to find out. And all he knows is a name, Sloane. He does never, that's all he's got to go on right now.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, so those are our characters that will be bringing to the Doors to Darkness campaign. Best of luck to them, because it's likely that many of them will not survive or just become totally insane. But nonetheless, we will begin our story here, and our descent into darkness shall begin. So we pick up in a dark room, as we so often do with Call of Cthulhu. This room is only illuminated by various electrical lights. These lights are connected by wires to a person's body. That person is a fairly emaciated-looking man with a long beard, long dark hair that we recognize to be Sloane. He is strapped down to a chair, and the lights with electricity run through him, occasionally jolting him with shocks. Sloane, you've returned, but it's not exactly the homecoming that you were expecting. You don't exactly remember how you got here, although you remember actively making the decision to return from your place of seclusion and return to Caligula. However, you now find yourself drugged, strapped to this chair, and tied down. Someone within the room is asking you questions. You're not exactly sure who that person is or why they're asking you these questions, but nonetheless, you find yourself returning to consciousness enough to be able to speak. What is your real name?
My name is Sloane.
What is your real name?
I told you. Sloane.
There's a moment's pause. When did you join Caligula?
Many years ago. 30. Give or
Do you
take.
remember the name of your handler from back then?
No.
Another long pause. Another jolt of electricity causes itself through the wires and through your body in excruciating pain, which blurs both your vision and your mind for a few moments until there's a long pause again. Where have you been for the past 2 years?
Away.
Where have you been?
Studying.
I'll ask you one last time. Where have you been?
Somewhere safe.
There's another jolt of electricity which causes itself through your body enough to almost make you pass out. You feel a hand come and slap you in the face until you regain into consciousness once again. And your vision is blurred enough, the light is behind you. You can only make out what you think to be a male figure in front of you. Where is the Necronomicon?
It's gone.
Where is the Necronomicon?
I told you. It's gone.
Is it safe?
Yes.
By the way, I'm hearing myself through someone's headphones.
Is it mine?
Is anyone else
Because I'm not
hearing
wearing any headphones because I can't hear it.
it? Maybe it's me. Okay. Yep. That's weird.
Can you still
Okay.
hear?
Yeah, I still hear myself, but that's...
I can put headphones on. It's fine.
Yeah, give it a go. I mean,
I'll
I'm
give
not
it a
sure
go,
if it's
one
just
sec.
on my end doing that, or if that's something else, but that's really off-putting because I can hear myself, and then...
Okay,
Yeah,
one
it's
sec.
not talking again. I'm sorry. Granny should throw a blanket over.
Yeah, poor young man.
There he goes.
Right. Can you hear your voice
All right.
now?
No.
Oh, it
Perfect.
was that then. Yeah.
There you go. Sorry, dude.
Okay. That's all right.
So as the figure asks, is it safe, steps back for a moment and leaves you to regain your senses somewhat, and then asks another question. Who were the symphony?
The symphony. They were the enemy.
Who is Lieutenant Martin Poole?
He is the leader of the symphony.
Is Poole alive?
I believe so, yes.
Why did you flee? Your mission was to bring back the Necronomicon. Why did you flee?
To get away, I needed time.
Have you had any contact with the symphony since then?
No. I have not had any contact with anyone.
Are you yourself, Matthew?
A kind gesture.
No. I am Sloane. Matthew is protected.
Very well. As the figure steps away, eventually you find yourself collapsing into unconsciousness once again. And a little while later, you're not sure how long has passed exactly, but you return to consciousness once again. It may have been as much as an hour, it may have been a couple of days, but it looks like the wounds of the kind of burn marks along your arms have healed. And you find yourself waking up in a bed. It's a nice looking bed. It's the only bed in this room. It's clearly like a master bedroom filled with wood furnishings. And outside, it's a dreary grey day that you recognize to most likely be somewhere in England. It's the distinctive tang of London as you look out over the cobbled streets as the busy markets are moving by. There's a knock on your door.
Have I got clothes on?
You are dressed. You are dressed.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, that's all right then. I'll
You're
take
not
a
wearing
moment.
a dress that you
No.
probably arrived in.
Shame. Hopefully it's somewhere in the cupboard. I'll take a moment to compose yourself and head to the door. Who is it?
The voice replies in an English voice. My name is Eric. We haven't yet met, but I'm hoping that I can see you, Sloane. I'm from
Why?
Caligula. I'm your handler.
Huh. He'll unlock the door and open it and come in. And Sloane will
There's a
just
man-
head to the bed and sit down.
Mhm. There's a man in in his 50s in front of you. He has slick back, dark hair, clean shaven, and is wearing a sort of business suit. He looks pretty well to do. And he steps in with a smile. He's got a lot of wrinkles around his eyes. He looks like the kind of person that's probably seen a little bit more, a little bit too much than he probably should have at this point. But it's probably a look that you recognize quite well from ever looking in the mirror. So he steps in. I was thanking to Dave for that donation there. Everyone gets a natural 20. Appreciate it, Dave. And Michael gives Greg and Lindy both a healing. Appreciate it, my friends. I will add these into the trackers now. So, not there. So, Sloane, Eric steps in. You go back to the bed, yeah?
Yeah, I'm sitting on the bed, yeah.
He steps in with a warm smile and says, I hope that you're feeling well.
I am feeling adequate.
I'm so glad to hear it. Is there anything I can get for you? Maybe a shave, more clean clothes?
I
Soap?
require a brush.
I can get you a brush. He goes into a drawer and pulls out a hairbrush. You notice as he hands you the hairbrush that he has a ring on his finger a kind of ring that you remember, a copper ring. They hold back the horrors, one that you wear yourself.
Okay. Oh, have I still got that
Yeah.
on me at the moment? Okay, cool.
Unless you would have taken it off you.
No, I definitely would have kept it on.
Probably anything that kept Sloane safe.
Yeah.
And staying in that place.
As he does that, Sloane's going to go to the cupboard and open it up and see what's inside. Like,
there's a business suit in there. There's like sets of almost identical looking suits, but they range from like black to navy blue. So you got a choice of outfit there, and like shirts as well.
He'll pause and look. I require some scissors too.
Eric will produce them for you.
Okay.
He'll
He'll basically take the brush and the scissors and then just head into the bathroom and close the door. So, what is it that you wish of me?
I'm so glad you asked. Now that you've gone through your psychological evaluation and you've passed with flying colors, you're set to be allowed back into Caligula and rejoin the fold. Things have changed a little bit since you were part of us. You're at our headquarters here in London, England.
I see. What do you want of me?
Well, I am your handler here. There's a chain of command. I am simply the person that informs you of any tasks and missions and helps you out of anything that you might need. And I'm your contact in the field in case anything were to go wrong, heaven forbid. And I'm also around for anything else, such as producing scissors, getting you a shave, and perhaps might I suggest some cologne as well. I have this very fine brand that I think you will enjoy. You smell a little bit like cats and death at the moment, so I think it would do you well to just like start spraying you with this cologne. There we go. That'll just best to mask it if you're not going to wash, I find. So, what exactly I want from you, Sloane, is I want to notice you're okay. Your evaluation passed with flying colors, but I want to notice you're well. There is something that we need of you. But it's up to you to decide whether or not you're ready to return. Presumably you came back to us for a reason.
The time was right.
Of course, of course. If, of course, ever you do wish to share any more about the location of the Necronomicon, I would be the person to speak with about that. It's matter of grave importance to the world, as I'm sure you're aware of, and Caligula are the best hands to look after it. Let me show you around. He moves on very swiftly before you can answer.
Sloane will come out, and as he comes out, you'll notice that his beard it's still quite scruffy, but it's kind of like somewhat shaped, so it's not so much out here, but more of a shaped. And you'll see all his big hairs kind of push back into a ponytail, and it's at the back, and he goes over to the cupboard and then, before you take me, I wish to change. And he'll basically put on a blue suit and do it up. He doesn't care. He'll get buck naked in front of the guy and get everything off. And
Eric politely turns away over.
And he'll turn, and then he'll do his cufflinks and straighten himself out, and he'll pick up a cane from the cupboard, and he'll take that and lead on.
Eric starts leading you out these halls down through several corridors. You're in it seems like a really big mansion by the looks of things. There's clearly wealth in this place. All around are pictures of strange artifacts and drawings and designs that you recognize from your time in the field and from your occult knowledge to be occult artwork. Nothing which would be considered like, heretical or evil, but, there's a lot of occult stuff out there, which is just of interest, antiques and the like. And there's a lot of, artifacts that you remember. There is a painting of the Golden Ferronnier around that you probably glare at with some disturbance.
Sloane will probably be quite interested because it's occult stuff, and it's been a while since he's looked at anything other than the Necronomicon. So he's probably going to take his time and have a look at that one, but constantly here, kind of keeping an ear open and listening to what he's saying and keeping up.
Yeah, he as he leads you through the corridors and hallways, says, "I have to say, you're quite the legend around here nowadays, Sloane. You have your reputation precedes you after the Dunwich incident, of course. Word spread like wildfire around the world."
Sloane will stop. Sloane will stop and look down, and I was not alone when I did that.
Of course, no. Well, your friends.
Yes.
Well, those that we'd recovered are they're no longer in this country or working with Caligula at the moment, but they are well and they are safe. We keep tabs on them every now and again.
That is good. That is good.
As he walks you through the corridors, there are a lot of people who are around here. Like you've never been to Caligula HQ, but you imagine that there's it's probably just a guy or a couple of people that are around in this sort of startup occult industry. But there are a lot of people around. There is like a busy sort of English office around here. And people are moving from corridor to corridor with different files and folders and talking to one another. Not all of them have the bands on them. A lot of them look like they would be like secretaries and office workers and stuff like that. But for you will spot every now and again someone that you would suspect to be like an agent walking around. They're more distinctive from the sort of like dark shadows underneath their eyes, the worn and weird look, and the bands on their fingers. Eric leads you through the halls and starts showing you the different rooms. As you can see, we've made great strides ever since your success in Arkham, and we've managed to gain a great deal of political and financial backing, particularly from the Americas. So I have to say that we have to thank you, Mr. Sloane, for your hard work and service, which I'm sure will be rewarded in turn by Caligula.
I barely recognize the place. It is unusual. How long have you been in Caligula?
Myself, I've been in here far too long. Much longer than I'd like to admit, I have to say. But, the pay is good, and I myself no longer go into the field. Back in my day, I was more like you, I suppose. But nowadays, I strictly keep to handling other agents. I've got a few that I'd like you to meet today for our briefing.
Very well. A question. Do you like Caligula now? And he'll kind of like go quite close to his face and tilt his head.
Eric sort of leans back a little bit. It's like, yes, well, of course. In my mind, this is the most successful that we've ever been. We have more agents in the field, and we're recovering more artifacts. And it's business is good. Sloane.
And
business
more
is good.
In the limelight. Yes?
I suppose you could say that. Although we are in the broad daylight and we're not lurking in the shadows anymore, it's not as though people just walk in here. At this point, someone just walks in, and it is Mildred. Mildred Crabapple. Mildred, what does Sloane and Eric see?
Well, they basically see this, but older. They see a little stooped, a little old lady. Not super stooped, but she's got a walking stick, and she's got a little purse next to her with just bunch of yarn sticking out of it and some knitting needles out of the top, maybe like a scarf kind of half trailing behind. All her old wispy white hair curled up into a big bun. Her clothing is probably outdated, probably looks like just turn of the century kind of clothing, but with a nice, bright, freshly knit cardigan on and cheerful colors. And she's got a big smile on her face and is holding a plate of cookies.
Eric sort of stumbles for a moment. Mildred.
Oh yes, Eric was it again? Yes.
That's
What you
right,
have
Miss
for a
Crabapple.
cookie? I just baked them in y'all's oven back there. Here you go.
That oven is not to be touched. That has some
I
very
don't-
sensitive objects in there.
Well, I took them out before I put the cookies in. Don't you worry.
As long as the
that.
Eldritch tapeworms are safe, that's all very well and good. You must meet Sloane. Something of a legend around here. I'm sure you've heard of him. Mr. Sloane meets Miss Crabapple, one of the agents that you'll be working with on this mission.
Oh, it's a pleasure to meet you, young man. And she's gonna kind of do a little dip, and they're back afterwards. Would you care for some cookies? They're just hot from the oven.
Sloane will bow kind of nod his head and go, "A pleasure to meet you too." And he takes a cookie. "Thank you."
Oh, it's no trouble at all. I don't think I've seen your face around here before. Are you new, Sonny?
New-ish, yes.
Well, welcome to Caligula. Just gonna kind of like pat you on the shoulder, set the cookies on like a side table.
Absolutely. Well, come with us. We have a meeting room that we can all adjourn to and be seated. And Eric leads you into a sort of side room, which is smaller. It's just got like a table and some chairs around it, and like a blackboard with scribblings and writing on. And Eric sort of like slicks back his hair for a moment and says, "The others should be here any moment now."
Mildred just follows in with her plate of cookies.
Perhaps you set those down on the table, Miss Crabapple.
Oh, of course. Anyone can have as many as they like.
Of course. At this point, Eric sort of checks out the window. He says, one of them's here now. And you watch as Seth Penhollow steps into the arena. Seth, what do they see as they see you?
You see a disheveled, overweight man sweating his way up to, I don't know if he had to climb some stairs. I mean, if there were 5 stairs, it was probably too many. But he's wiping his brow off as he comes in, and he's got an old satchel over his shoulder that's kind of bulging with probably books. Well worn, well used jacket kind of slung over his arm, but his tie's undone. He's not a well-kept man, but he kind of walks in and probably knows Eric, and that's probably it. And you just, hello, Eric, right? Yes.
Yes, Mr. Penhollow. Pleasure to see you. We've been anxiously awaiting your arrival.
Oh yes. So, do you? What does this stand? Do you have a text for me to look at? Is this what? What do you have for me?
First of all, let's get to some introductions, shall we? We have with us here Miss Mildred Crabapple, one of our finest.
Would you care for some cookies?
Oh, yes. I'm sorry. I'm allergic. Crabapple, is it okay?
Yes. It's a pleasure to meet you.
Right.
I'm sure it is. And then he turns and looks at the other gentleman in the room, and
this is Mr. Sloane, who I'm sure you're aware of after your research.
Why, yes. And he actually sticks a hand out to Sloane to shake his hand. Looks like he doesn't really. He's kind of doing it awkwardly, even just showing his hand. Like he doesn't shake people's hands that often. It's a pleasure to meet you.
Sloane will look down and shake his hand quite gently and look back at him. And you too.
Oh, and his hand has probably got a little bit too much sweat in it. And I've heard quite a bit about you. Would like to talk to you sometime about your
that's
recent.
Enough, Seth. We don't want to burden Mr. Sloane. He's just gotten through his psychiatric evaluation, so we just he kind of leans in and whispers, "Don't be so weird."
I sure, yes, okay.
Calm down. Seth. We've talked about this.
And he'll go and find a seat around the table, kind of as far away from everyone as he can.
Absolutely. And it's not long as Eric sort of leaves you guys in an awkward silence, and he hears the door gonna open. Oh, thank God. And Castor walks in. Castor, what do you look like?
Castor is taller. He is maybe 6'2", 6'3". He's thin, a bit broad, but his definitely doesn't have perhaps a relative same width to height ratio. But no matter exactly how he's dressed, which is always with a suit jacket that's worn, the cob hat that he takes care of it as well as he can. But no matter what he would wear, even if he had one of Sloane's dresses on, any attention that would have been directed towards him is almost always redirected towards the monkey that sits on his shoulder. The monkey wears an identical suit, an identical hat, and also has glasses on.
Amazing. Eric kind of for a moment, oh goodness, slicks back his hair. Mr. Edwards, pleasure to meet you at last.
Eric, a pleasure to meet you too. What are we all doing here?
We're having a meeting, Mr. Edwards, with our fellow occultists here. We have Mr. Sloane returning to the field. I'm sure you'll be aware of. This is Mr. Castor Edwards Sloane.
A pleasure to meet you.
You knew my brother?
Yes. Well, maybe. Who was he?
Okay. Kip.
Ah, Kip. Yes, yes. A wonderful man.
You sure you know my brother?
Oh, yes.
At this point, he sees the plates of cookies, and he kind of looks down and looks around as he reaches down and takes one to see if it's okay.
Oh, please help yourself to the cookies. My name's Mildred Crabapple, young man. Mr.
Miss
Castor.
Crabapple, nice to meet you.
And your monkey can have as many as he wants to.
Oh, he can't have too many. It hurts his stomach, but he breaks one in half and he hands it back. And
I'll keep an eye on him then.
And this is Mr. Seth Penhollow, the book dealer.
Penhollow?
Yeah,
are you a performer too?
No, and you see, like, it looks like Seth is finishing a cookie that nobody saw him actually take, and he's like, I deal in antiquities of books, and Caligula uses me sometimes to verify works. It's a pleasure to meet you.
It sounds interesting. It sounds great. Yeah. Okay.
That's so glad everyone's
keeps looking over
getting
at
along.
Yeah.
And another, long awkward pause goes by before once again Eric just sort of sighs his relief as the door opens and we see Lewis stepping in. What do I see?
So Lewis is a large man, not as tall as Castor, but about 6 feet tall. But he definitely does not want for food. He looks like he's in pretty good shape for his age. He's older. He's wearing an immaculate white suit that's accented by a bright red tie, bright red kerchief, and red gloves. And he steps into the room, and as soon as he steps into the room, he has a very, very aggressive smile, and he looks directly to Mildred. He says, "Ah, Mildred, it's so good to see you. I see you made your cookies."
Oh, yes, Louis, come in and have a seat. Have as many as you like. I just pulled them out of the oven not 20 minutes ago.
Oh, I could never say no to those cookies. They are wonderful.
Oh,
and he'll grab a
you're
cookie
too
and just
nice.
put it right in his mouth and start munching.
Also, thank you guys for the donations. Mr. Pokey, a huge cheer. Everyone gets a magic item and a crit success. And this Reaver, I will roll up a magic surge for Eric here in just a moment. Thank you, my friend. And also, Seth has got an extra 2 nat ones for turning down the cookies from form round. So Eric sort of hastens to shake your hand. Mr. Delgado, a true pleasure to have you here in the flesh.
Yes, I'm happy to be here. Your name again?
Eric, Mr. Eric, yes.
Eric. Good to meet you, Eric. Please, don't let me get in your way. You do what you need to do. You won't even notice I'm here.
Of course. Whatever you say, Mr. Delgado, is an honor. I should introduce the rest of our guests. You already know Miss Crabapple, but you should also meet Mr. Edwards here.
Pleasure. And he puts his hand out.
Mr. Edwards. Yes, a pleasure, I'm sure. Luis Delgado. He grabs as he grabs his arm, he'll do that thing that businessmen do where they, with their opposite hand, they grab onto the elbow and they kind of pull in a little bit. And he shakes with a really firm grip.
You have a handshake like a president. And
it's something my family practices.
He shakes just like Lincoln did.
When Castor kind of gets pulled in, since they're both relatively the same height, as he kind of comes in with a bit of a right lead, you notice that Laszlo on the shoulder stops eating, pulls it down, and for a moment reaches up and pushes its own glasses down its nose as it just stares at Lewis before pushing them back up.
I don't until that moment I don't think Lewis had actually noticed the monkey, but when he sees that, his smile gets even bigger and he says, "Oh, wonderful. And what's his name?"
That's Laszlo.
Laszlo. I love it. And he lets go of your hand and gives you a firm nod.
Nice to meet you, Mr. Delgado.
Mr. Penhollow here. No need for prolonged introductions again, Seth.
Hello, sir. I'm Seth Penhollow.
And this here is Mr. Sloane, whom, of course, I'm sure you're aware of, Mr. Delgado.
Oh, yes. You're quite the talk around here, Mr. Sloane. Pleasure to meet you.
You too.
Well, we're all here, aren't we? Excellent. And thank you to Latu for the £50 donation. Lindy, Greg, and Don each get their very own magic items and a wild magic surge for Laszlo the monkey. All right, I'm gonna bring in all of our wild magic surges in an appropriate moment here. Fear not, my friends. All right, so that's for Laszlo and magic items. Nice. So, as you are all sort of in this room, seated, standing, however you want to be.
Definitely sitting.
Definitely. Oh yeah, I mean for Mildred, that's a must at this point. You see that Eric sort of brings back cursed items. You're right, Latu. Thank you, my friend. Cursed magic items. That's my favorite kind of magic item. You'll watch as Eric slicks back his hair once again. He's very quite nervous, man. He seems quite nervous, particularly about Lewis being here. And he seems keen to impress both Lewis and Sloane. And sort of, he's muttering under his breath sort of affirmations. Like, you can do this, Eric. You can do this. You've got this. You've got this. This is... All right, then, everybody. Let's talk about why we're all here today. He's talking as though you're on sort of a like an away day.
Was I teaching a class today? I forgot. Is it Thursday?
No. That was
okay.
A while ago now. No, this is a different day. This is Tuesday, Mildred, and we're here on a very important mission because Mr. Sloane has returned, and that's why I've called all of you here. Because Mr. Sloane is one of our best agents that we've ever had in the field, and of great interest to both Caligula and many of the rest of us. And indeed, our investors in Caligula have requested specifically that the 5 of you were to be placed on this mission. A very important gentleman by the name of Gerald Fraser has hired Caligula. He is one of our main investors. I believe you are familiar with him, Mr. Delgado. And he has impressed upon us the importance of sending our very best on this important task. So, here's what we here's what we have. And I will I will share a thing with you guys. I'll share a couple of things with you actually. You should have a couple of things popping up on your screenios in a second. He says. Oh, maybe I should do it from here. That's why I need to do that. I'm a fool. Thank you guys for the follows as well. Oh man, screwed this one up.
Such a tease, Will.
I know, right? Why can't I find the one booklet I'm actually looking for? Okay, 7, that's the one. All right, nailed it. You guys will see this here in just a moment. Just a moment. There we go. That should pop up for players.
Oh.
Yeah.
All right, James Fraser.
Okay, we're gonna pop over here to our fantasy grounds, our virtual tabletop of choice. Just gotta recapture this actually. But what you guys are seeing right now is a little handout on James Fraser, which I'll get to you guys here in chat in just a moment. Eric, he will begin to sort of run you through this information here. Apologies for the delay. There you go. Should have another thing on James Fraser popping up as well. You guys seeing 8.01?
Yes.
Yep.
Good. Now all I have to do is get it to you guys in chat. But don't worry, I got this. So Eric starts to run you through it. He's like, okay, so here's what we have. Mr. Fraser is a very important businessman. There we go. You guys in chat see I'm a fucking expert. Mr. Fraser, Mr. Gerald Fraser, is a very important businessman involved in the big business in America, as I'm sure Mr. Delgado is aware. And Mr. Fraser, here, James Fraser, his son, has gone missing. Now, he was studying archaeology and anthropology at the Miskatonic University in Arkham, which I believe, Mr. Sloane, you yourself have visited on occasion.
That's correct.
Of course. Well, he has gone missing, which is a problem. He's abandoned his studies there. And he's left for Arkham, but he hasn't been seen since. So this is a problem. He's informed his father that he was tired and is going to spend the night at a motel before continuing on to Kingsport. We believe to see his girlfriend, Emily. Is it? Let me find my notes here. Yes, Miss Emily, and. Well, Miss Livingston, Emily Livingston. And, well, you have a picture of Mr. Fraser, and we know that he was driving a black Chrysler coupe, and his number plate was AB1652. And we know that he's been missing for about 9 days now, which is a sufficiently long time for concern. And Mr. Gerald Fraser has impressed upon us at Caligula the importance of succeeding in this mission. Now, normally this is a normal search and rescue mission, which we wouldn't trouble you all with, but Mr. Fraser is one of our most important investors. Without his backing, well, our operations in the field would be severely limited, and the actions of the symphony would continue onwards in their in all of their evil. So it's very imperative that we find Mr. James Frazier and figure out exactly how we can bring him back safely. The other thing is, of course, the reason why we may need some more agents in the field is that the Arkham area has been known to be a site of great disturbance. The Miskatonic Valley, the research that the investigators brought back to us previously from the Arkham incidents, Mr. Sloane and his companions, has led us to believe that there is a great deal of activity from the Symphony within the valley. So it is entirely possible that you will run into members of their network in that area. But mainly it seems like they're focused in other parts of America, but it's always possible that they still have a cell there, which is of concern. So, you have a $200 retainer to your per diem to spend in the field on anything that you might require. But I'm sure Mr. Delgado can look after himself. Also, one of our most important backers, he says, like very, seriously to the rest of you. So, any questions? Have secured your transport to Arkham. I figured you might want to ask around the university a little bit before you went searching out in the field.
Yeah, how long is this journey going to take to get there?
Oh, well, it's going to be a little while, Miss Crabapple. You might want to take some snacks with you.
Definitely my blood sugar gets so low sometimes. I'll have to take some of these cookies on the road and pack up some extra yarn. Okay, thank you.
Quite. Any other questions? Not cookie-based ones.
Do we know what he was studying?
It is understood that he was working with one Professor Rhodes, that's Rhoades, at the Miskatonic University. Mr. Rhodes, however, is currently out in the field on an expedition with his wife. He can still be reached by telephone at their outpost. I would not recommend venturing out there. It's quite a swampy area to get to, and he has not recommended that anyone come find him, though he is available by telephone for agents of Caligula. Of course, I haven't let him know that Caligula have come calling. You are under the guise of university inspectors or anything else that you so desire. We can give you identification for the police, if that will be more amenable to your needs.
I think that would probably help with certain things. Where were they on expedition at? You said it was swampy. What area, if you could tell me?
It's I'm cracking up from this voice. It's an area known as the Blackwater Creek, particularly boggy and swampy area of interest to the university. There are always studies and finds being made in the Miskatonic Valley every year, and Professor Rhodes has led that one. However, it seems like Mr. James Frazier never arrived at Ledig. He was expected to arrive there, but instead he left for apparently Kingsport. We don't know why. And we need to find him as soon as possible.
And the girlfriend, she was at the university and not at Kingsport, yes?
Miss Miss Emily Livingston is in Kingsport. We believe that maybe he went to go and see her. He called his father to say that he was going to see Emily because he missed her. Although they had only seen each other recently, so it does not take 9 days to get from Arkham, Massachusetts to Kingsport.
No.
What more do we know about James Frazier? Enemy?
None that we know of. Mr. Frazier is, of course, a wealthy businessman Mr. Gerald Fraser perhaps has more enemies in the field, but I believe Mr. Delgado maybe can be more enlightening than I can on that matter, being in that same industry. Mr. Delgado, would you say that Mr. Gerald or James Fraser had enemies?
Well, I would say that any number of men who are as wealthy as Gerald is are bound to have some enemies, but I can't think of any off the top of my head. However, I do find this case to be very, very disturbing. I feel like this boy, he should have been better watched after and protected. How are the investigators? Oh, yes, Mildred. And I'm also concerned.
Couldn't agree more.
How are your investigators getting to the location? How are they traveling?
They are going to fly in. We have a plane. It's not the best, but it should get them there. We've had problems in the past with planes in Arkham.
Oh dear.
I would like to, and I know that I've already given much, but I would like to extend more of my resources to this particular case to make sure that your investigators have everything they need. I don't suppose you would mind if I came along to make sure that I was able to be on hand in case they need my resources.
Oh, Mr. Delgado, that is a very generous offer, and let me first say that I am incredibly honored that you would even suggest such a thing, but you must know that there is a great deal of danger. These agents here put their lives on the line, and they are well compensated for it, of course, but I do not have the resources to pay you in such a way that would be deserving of your risk.
Well, I mean, Eric, it seems that Mr. Delgado, is it? Yes, he seems a very moneyed individual. I'm sure that he can take care of himself and accompany us on this journey, this adventure, as it were.
There comes a day in every business relationship where the businessman must make sure that his money is being put to good use, and I have a sense about these individuals, and I believe that they are capable of protecting me. I'm willing to go along with them.
Very well. Then let me shake your hand again, Mr. Delgado. You can tell Eric is like big win.
You in.
Yeah. Eric is very pleased with himself for this true pleasure. Excellent. So, any other questions? I secured transportation for as soon as you wish to leave to get you there. This is a mission of utmost importance, and let me once again reinforce that this, whilst may seem like a simple search and rescue, there are dangers involved in Arkham and the Miskatonic Valley. The Miskatonic University has had quite an overhaul in the past few years. We have installed a few contacts within the university that you may be able to speak with. In fact, one of them is a man named Travis Bryce. Now Travis Bryce was in fact in the same dorm as James Fraser and is likely to know a lot more about this. However, I just don't trust him. He lost Mr. Fraser. He lost Mr. Fraser in the first place. He should never have let him go out of his sight, in my opinion. I mean, that was not strictly his task, but when one wanders off into the middle of Arkham, Massachusetts, and there's an agent of Caligula around, well, one should be more aware of the dangers, in my opinion.
What of the fungus?
Yes, the fungal infection, which was reported to have spread. There are no signs of that ever having been in the Arkham or Miskatonic University or indeed anywhere in that area. So we have not been able to substantiate any of the reports from your investigation, Mr. Sloane.
Good.
Well, it seems like we're all ready to get off then. So, in that case, let me first of all say good luck. He kind of like pushes a brown paper parcel with the $200 in across the table to someone. Puts it in the middle of the table by the cookies, and says, "If you'd like to come with me, I can take you to your transportation."
Oh, certainly. Let me just get a bag for these. And you see she kind of like pulls out a little folded up brown paper bag from her purse and just kind of shoves the cookies in there. And he's like, all right, I should be ready to go. Think I have enough yarn on me. All right.
If it's okay with you guys, I'll carry the money. And he unbuttons his shirt and he has a money belt that is just inside his shirt. I'll keep it right here. I promise not to get into it.
Well, you seem like an honest young man. I have no problems with this.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
He puts it in and closes the money belt and buttons up his shirt.
All right.
Now, if someone would
stays
just
right
help walk me to the car.
I can help you, Miss Crabapple.
Oh, thank you, Caster. She'll take your arm and
You,
I'll with you.
yeah, the group of you are escorted by Eric, who kind of like leads you ahead a little bit. He has a brief conversation, at which he is shouted at by a large Russian woman for a moment, who stalks off into another corridor. Of course, you don't do dick around here. And she just kind of walks away, and Eric is like, it's just one of our agents, and she's really quite nice, actually. She's actually very nice. It can be very funny at times.
She doesn't seem to like you that much. Just an observation.
No, it's just when one's such good friends as myself and Vashka, anything's I give as good as I get, Mr. Penollet. He's like whole body is swaying after that like 2-second encounter with her. He seems really on edge, like someone's just like jump scared him. But he will lead you guys to your transportation. So you got like it's probably like the same sort of plane that you took in our last season, sort of probably quite banged up, and it does not look like the nicest way to travel. But it'll probably get you there.
So sanity check for Sloane, right?
Friggin' talk about a friggin' PTSD check for Sloane. I mean.
Right. Thank you to Mr. Pokey. 4 advantages for the party as well. I might as well get you guys off on a right foot. Thank you, Mr. Pokey. Appreciate it, guys. We'll get to these wild magics in just a minute here. So, yeah, you will see kind of coming to the plane as a pilot, and his name isn't Jameson. And
Thank God for that.
It's Jomason. No. You watch as Eric is about to kind of like shows you up the gangplank, whatever, and it's like, oh, before you go, I have a couple of things to hand off to a few of you. Lindy, Greg, and Don each roll me a D15. No, D25 rather, for your curse magic iron.
Okay. Oh, out of 125, that might help.
Might help.
I got a 13. I'm sure that'll be
That's a good sign.
real nice.
8.
Okay, so 13 for you, Castor.
12.
You get let's see. Okay, you get the Quiver of Returning, but this is basically projectiles that you shoot from, this holster that Eric gives you, will return to you. One of us had this last season. So, unfortunately, sometimes the returning bullets may actually try and hit you. I will send you the text for this in the call. Beautiful. That is, what did you get? 8, Lindy?
I got 12.
12, sorry. The Singing Stone. The necklace. Oh, you get a +1 to your charisma score. That transfers to about a +10 in Call of Cthulhu, so you get a +10 to charisma. and gives you proficiency in performance. However, you'll be plagued with the songs of this bard in your mind, and you must make a wisdom saving throw each day or hum uncontrollably. That's so familiar. She's got a song just in her head all the time, like a really old song.
We used to sing this to the boys in the hospital during the Civil War.
All right, so, and then what did you get, Don?
I got an 8.
8. A silver duck of ducking. Every time someone tries to grab the silver duck statuette and remove the stains or cover some etched writings on its chest, it'll be turned into a duck. All right, that's a thing. That might be something that I use. I'll put the text for you here, but I think I'll use that later on in our story as a thing. Right. Noted. I think I got that done. And I got... Okay, so Eric hands you these somewhat useful, perhaps useless items. You might find a use for these. Best of luck to you all. Please do telephone anytime. You have my number. And you can call the Caligula headquarters if ever you run into any trouble. And we'll see what we can do. All right, then. And you watch Eric is sort of waving as the doors are closed to the plane. The pilot starts doing various different checks. So it's not long before you guys are off in the air, and we are sort of fast traveling over to Arkham, Massachusetts. During this time of travel, that's when we're going to bring in our wild magic surges, because for Sloane, this is an incredibly disturbing event. Traveling back in a similar plane, the Caligula standard planes, and so we've got some wild magic surges to get to. So let's just go around. So Tom, have you rolled your wild magic surges yet?
I have indeed. I rolled them earlier.
Beautiful. Do you want me to look those up, or have you got that?
No, I can tell them to you. Okay,
Beautiful.
so
What you
the
got?
first one is 6542.
Alrighty, 6542 for Tom. If the rest of you guys can look up the actual wild magic reading, that would be super helpful. We can just chuck right for him. 6542. You react violently to anyone who offers you hospitality.
Oh God.
That's good.
Okay.
That's perfect. Next one.
Oh yeah, I just got to make a note of all these. 784.
Ooh, 784 for Mr. Sloane. You disgorge a ship's anchor. You kind of throw up. You feel yourself being sick as you're in the plane. Like you really did, this nausea kind of overcomes you, and it's not like a full size ship's anchor, but with a bit of the vomit, you kind of put into a bag, something sort of heavier lands, and you notice that it's like a small little charm of a ship's anchor. What about yay big? Could be worn on a necklace or something.
It's quite possibly one of the methods that I use to help protect me when studying, and it's just come back up. Okay, next one, 8400.
8400. They will get their regular magic items here as well. The one last thing that Eric will give you is he will hand you the rings, the bands which hold back the horror. So
what if I already have one? Do I get 2?
No. He'll actually probably replace yours. He's like, that's an older model. Could I just swap those out? So he'll probably give you a brand spanking new one.
The new iBand version 10.
iBand, yeah, I like it. All non-sentient animals nearby are panic-stricken.
Okay.
All the birds just fucking flee from the skies as you guys are flying over England.
That's a good omen.
Over the seas, yep.
Okay, 3899.
3899 for Sloane. When you open your spellbook, you are shrouded by darkness. That's awesome.
Oh, yeah.
That is awesome. Okay, and did you have one more, or was that all?
Final one is 2123.
2123 for you is your home is completely packed full of manure. when you go back to your secret hiding place. Oh, this is amazing. So like Sloane's like pocket dimension where he's been hiding the Necronomicon doesn't have a toilet in it. So it is just like rank in there. It is like bad. And it might be from the Necronomicat as well that you have there.
Yeah, I do have a
which has-
Necronomicat.
Yeah, which has been, there's no real litter tray for anything like that.
That is my final wild magic search.
Beautiful. Don, I think we've got like 8 of these to go through for Lewis.
Yeah, I have a lot of them. The first one I rolled was 135.
135 for Lewis. Alcohol has no effect upon you, but cheese is intoxicating.
All right. I rolled an 8.
What? Are you kidding me? Jesus.
Wait, another 8?
Another 8.
This is good. So I'm gonna roll a d4 here. In fact, I'll do that in Fancy Grounds so we can show all that off. You get 3 of your limbs are covered in fish scales. That's cool.
Right.
That is oddly good. Okay, next one.
I have 6, 1, 2, 3.
6, 1, 2, 3 for Lewis. You are invulnerable to 80% of normal weapons. I like
All right.
that. That's useful. That might be because of the scales,
Might be. 4590.
590. Metal weapons are immune to magic while you wield them. So if you were wielding like a sword or something like that,
Mhm.
the weapon itself would be immune to magic. Could be useful.
Oh, cool. 2972.
2972. If you're hit by a bludgeon on a natural 20, your teeth turn to gold. Good, I go on smile. Sexy.
1039.
1039 is you have vivid but false memories of the last 24 hours. I'll actually get to that one in a minute. Okay.
1845.
1845. You will you will combust unless you immerse yourself within an hour. So we're gonna call this one a little bit more meta. If Don isn't immersed in this game within the next hour.
Or immersed in water?
No, this is in-game immersion that I'm
Oh, I
reading this as.
see.
I mean, I think it actually does mean water immersion, but but this is more fun. Okay, cool.
And then the last one is 4553.
4553. You guys have all these wild magic surges. If you light a fire, you feel an urge to put your hands in it. That's interesting.
These are awesome.
Yeah, very cool. Alrighty. So that is you. That's 8 for you. We've got 5 for Lindy. It's crab
All right,
apple.
first
What
one.
you got?
I've got the first one is going to be 0257.
0257 reads any mountain more than 1 mile away from you is invisible to you. That probably
Okay.
works because of your vision.
I don't see great anyways.
It's
The
a
second
good
one
job
is,
she's not the pilot.
right. Oh man. 7702. It's easier to read from the roller than it is from the text.
Yeah,
I'm so blind in real
770.
life.
7002. Your weapon is replaced by an indestructible replica. Maybe that's your cane.
It's
Or
my
your your
needles.
needles. Yeah, your needles. Yeah, that's pretty cool. They're indestructible now.
That's pretty sweet.
That's dope. Okay.
All right. The next one is 8096.
8096. A huge outcrop of beautiful crystals erupts under the target point. As you're flying just over Birmingham, you see that just for a moment there is beauty in Birmingham as crystals erupt underneath it. Perhaps it's just a reflection of the light. Perhaps it's just a trick. And then very quickly it is covered once again by the oppressive smog that is Birmingham. Once again, it's just for a moment. It has a flicker of hope, and then it is once again snuffed out as it should be. Good. Next one, or is that all of them?
9439.
943. The next nearby is attracted to your Loken. So someone's weapon is sort of like magnetized towards you.
Okay.
So maybe you've got some strong magnets in that handbag, and someone's got like a dagger on them that's like boom, it's right over to a handbag. Okay.
All right. The last one is 4582.
4582. If your weapon is metal, it turns, and vice versa. So because your needles are wood, they turn to metal. So you've got metal and indestructible needles. That's awesome. They're like adamantium or something. Yeah, dope. Okay, I'm clipping a little bit. All right, alrighty. All right, that takes us to Pruitt. You got 2 wild magic surges.
Yes, I typed the wrong one in the chat. First one is 9622. Which I think is pretty perfect.
622. Someone nearby disgorges himself. I imagine this is once again Sloane.
Yes, Sloane did.
As like Sloane is like throwing up, all this weird shit just comes out of Sloane. It's like a tiny version of like Sloane just sort of like vomits out from himself along with the anchor, and you're just like, what the fuck was that?
I'm just rubbing his back and holding like a little air sick bag, and I'm like, it's gonna be okay, Sonny.
Sloane's gonna shrug her off, and I'm fine.
I'm sure you are, dear.
And the second one, Brooke.
And the other is 7061.
7061. Your clothes smolder from now until dawn, but you are unharmed. That's dope.
I'm just a little hot. I'm a little over. Yeah, a little warm.
A little sweaty up here in the high atmosphere. Yeah. Right. That's Pruitt. We've got one for Laszlo.
Laszlo's is 5504. Target can't walk until the caster says his own name. So I'm assuming that would be caster saying, Laszlo, do this. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Then caster has 2. The first one he has is 5501. Target can't use magic. That's older than he is. So the other one is 9250. The nearest oak tree turns to solid gold.
Interesting. Okay, so I want that to be one of Mildred's needles. So she's got one which is adamantium and one which is solid gold now. You're muted, Lindy.
And they're both indestructible.
It's just stabbing people with like gold and adamantium. I love it. All right, that is perfect. So that's our wild magic surges and our donations. The only other thing is this. So as you guys are traveling, it's going to be quite a while over for you guys. So you're probably going to get to know one another fairly well during the course of this flight. But the one thing which does happen as one of you is sleeping is Lewis. As you are asleep with the rest of your agents on the plane over, you suffer this vivid and terrifying dream. In this dream, you are floating under stagnant water. You're surrounded by sluggishly moving weeds. Beneath the weeds is a city of leprous black spiraling steeples and narrow twisting avenues. Dead creatures are littering the streets, twisted angular things with shiny red shells covered in thick tubes and trumpet-like protrusions. Moving against their will, they seem to pull themselves in towards you as though they're calling you in. And you watch as an octagonal declivity covered in warped glass comes before you, and a shadowy, pulsing object lies beyond the glass. It has 3 yellow glowing eyes and the hint of a metallic surface. And then you wake up. Roll me a sanity. check.
Yeah. Oh, sanity.
Sanity, my old friend. That looks like a success. You just lose 1 point of sanity.
1 point of sanity. Yeah, he'll start with a gasp. That's very uncharacteristic for him. He's very methodical about the things that he says and the way that he moves. And he'll kind of press his hand to his chest and straighten his tie and settle back into his place on the plane and kind of look around with a sort of a look of disdain at the poor condition of the inside of the cabin.
Mr. Delgado, are you okay? You seemed startled there for a second.
Oh yes, well, Pen Hollow, was it?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. It's Seth Penhollow. Yes, sir.
I'm all right. I'm just more accustomed to travel. That's all. And
yes, that's
you look
quite an
like
old
a man
plane.
of. Yes. Are you a man of good tastes, sir? Do you consider yourself to be a man of good tastes?
Probably when it only comes to the written word, the text. It's my profession. I'm a book dealer. Antiques mostly. But yes, I have good taste in books. That's yes.
Well, I'm personally, I don't do a lot of reading anymore, but when I was younger, I was quite the avid reader, and I had a sense about you when I looked at you. I thought you might like books.
Oh, well, thank you, sir. It's kind of you to say. I mean, if you ever need any first editions or first printings or anything, I'm your man. I can find it for you. No problem.
Well, that is good to know. Oh, yes, I can. I'll keep you in mind as time goes on. Are you you're an agent of Caligula as well?
Oh, well, I might have been conscripted into the ranks in this mission, but normally they just bring me in to look over texts that they find and confirm their authenticity, things of that nature. You know, bit of an expert in my field, but not well known.
Oh, very interesting that they bring you in for this case. I hope to see your expertise put to good use.
Oh, and you kind of see him like glance at Sloane. He's like, I do as well. Many things moving. Yes.
Yes. And he'll also look to Sloane and smile even larger. Nod.
You can see Sloane's probably just looking out the window as if kind of like lost. He doesn't even realize what's happening around him.
Yes.
Alrighty.
Mr. Sloane? Mr. Sloane? Is there anything that you could tell us? We are returning to a place where you were at, right? From what I've heard.
Yes. Don't drink the water.
Oh, okay. I'm partial to Cokes myself.
There is one advice that
And
I
just
will
not the
give you
same
all.
since they took the cocaine out of him.
If a deal seems too good to be true, it normally is. And then he'll turn and look outside the window again.
Seth will kind of glance at Louis. Okay.
Lewis will look back to Seth and he'll nod his head and he'll say, well, I certainly feel very safe knowing that you, Mr. Sloane, are with us, being so experienced. Between you and Mildred, wow, I could not feel better about this investigation.
Tell me, what do you know of me?
Oh, only the things that I've heard around, the halls of Caligula. And that's a good question. How much? What's the gossip in Caligula about Sloane?
He depending on either a hero or he would, for having.
Well,
Will is a robot.
Will, you're
is a
know why
lagging
it's
like
flipping hard.
crazy.
I
Yeah.
can see it. I don't know why it's happening, but yeah,
So either hero or coward, depending on who you talk to.
pretty much.
Cool.
Well, I've heard that you're a hero. That's what the word is at Caligula. That maybe you even saved the world. Is that true?
He'll kind of smirk. Perhaps.
I like a man that keeps his cards close to his chest, Mr. Sloane.
Are you the same?
Oh, no. I have no need to keep things close to my chest, but I respect it in other men.
Then you will do poorly. And he'll look out the window again.
That takes him aback a little bit, and for a moment his kindness kind of fades, and he'll say, well, please advise me, Mr. Sloane. I certainly do not want to cause you any problems. He'll
Sloane just
lean back in
continues
his
on
chair.
the window.
Well, Castor, isn't this lovely weather we're having here today? Yes, just hardly a bump on the flight.
Yeah, if you say so, Miss Crabapple. This is my first flight. Over
Oh,
to England and back
It's
over
mine
here. So.
too. That's our hero. He says, I remember when they didn't even have these contraptions. They scared the daylights right out of me, honestly. That's why I'm not sitting next to the window. Whoo! Man, and them
Can understand
cars, too. They just move so fast.
Yeah, my brother likes cars. I'm not a big fan.
Nothing
Like to
like a good
walk.
horse. On your own 2 feet, too.
Yeah, walking's good. Walking's real
Walking
good.
is good.
Wait,
So,
Miss
well,
Crabapple,
Yes.
if you need anything, you just let me know, okay? Because
Oh, you're so nice.
we can help out.
Oh, you're such a nice young man. Where did you find this monkey anyway? Did they come from South America or the Africas?
Laszlo here found me. I think he got away from the Baltimore Zoo and he just showed up, and wouldn't leave my side. So we became best buddies, and he decided to come with me.
He
And
is
I
such
get
a
all my
cute
fashion
little
sense from
brother.
him. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
I would just love to knit him a little sweater, and she's gonna kind of like ruffle his head fur if he'll allow it. If Laszlo will allow it.
As you reach towards Laszlo, his teeth kind of come up in a sneer, and Castor pulls back, and he kind of hates everyone else, but
Oh,
he likes
well.
me. So I'm sorry. He's just
oh, it's
he's a
understandable.
one-person people person.
Some animals are just like that. He's
Yeah,
awful
well.
cute, though.
He uses it to his advantage.
Oh, I'm sure he does, little rascal.
Yeah. But if you need anything, Miss Crabapple, please just let me know. Laszlo and I can
Likewise.
help.
I may be 86 years young, but I can still do some things.
All right. Well, I guess we just get some shut eye and wait for what's next.
All right. It sounds like a good plan.
Laszlo, our caster, pulls his hat down over his face to sleep, and Laszlo stays awake for a moment before he too curls up in Caster's lap. And as soon as they're both asleep, Caster's fingers start to drum on the board, but on the armrest beside the seat, just over and over and over again.
You guys hear me okay at the moment?
Yep.
Good. Okay, I went out there for a minute. Having problems with the internet. I'm refreshing and trying things. Okay, so the group of you spend your time on the plane over to Arkham, Massachusetts, and it is quite a while until you get there. However, when you do arrive, it is on a bright and sunny day, which perhaps you weren't expecting. Arkham is known to be a pretty gloomy and dreary place at the best of times, much like Birmingham in a great deal of ways. However, as you come in, you guys will notice that the sun is high. The plane lands safely at an airstrip. The pilot sets you down, lets you off, and you're not far from the Miskatonic Valley. However, you have landed just outside of Arkham to be safe. As things stand, you can see Arkham maybe a 5-minute walk away. It's a not bustling looking town from this distance at the very least. It looks sleepy, maybe, at best. At worst, it looks just like straight up depressing. Even in the sunshine, this is a place that doesn't look particularly nice. A lot of very Gothic architecture is around, very old houses that have not seen repair in a long time. There's clearly not a lot of money in the area whatsoever. But you guys are just set outside of it, and the pilot kind of sets himself back, and will be there if you need him for anything. But you guys have all your stuff with you, and you're in Arkham.
Mildred sounds like Rice Krispie treats as she gets off the plane. Just pop, 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 pop.
Does it look that different than what I remember?
It doesn't seem very different from what you remember. You remember this place. Maybe not in like great detail, but it certainly looks like the same place that you were in before. Maybe a little sunnier.
Okay.
Well,
So hot.
I am starving. I don't know how you feel, but Mr. Sloane, do you know any good places to eat? Perhaps we can grab a bite before we begin our investigation.
Oh, I need to remember the name of that restaurant that they went on the date. What was it called?
The black something.
No, the Black Cat.
Black Dahlia.
Black
Black
Dahlia.
Dahlia.
Yeah.
The Black
It was the
Dahlia.
Black Dahlia.
Yeah.
Okay. A friend of mine, well, two of them, had a wonderful time at a place called the Black Dahlia. Perhaps we can go there.
It's a very
There's also a
interesting.
shithole Italian restaurant too.
Yeah.
Yeah. And there's a pub, the cat pub.
Yeah, the
Cat and
something
Fiddle.
cat pub. The
the
Cat and Fiddle, and
Cat
then the
and
Black
Fiddle.
Dahlia Jazz Club
Yeah.
was the Italian place.
My
No.
Well, food's on me if you all care to join me for a bite before we get started.
Oh, I would love to, Louis. That's very kind of you.
It's awfully kind of you, sir.
Well, Mr. Sloane, I suppose you know the way.
Somewhat. Please, follow me. And Sloane will go at a fairly slow pace to allow Mildred to keep up. You know, he's not too cruel.
Yeah, Castor will make sure that he kind of takes all the packs or whatever luggage that Mildred might have brought with her, and he's
There's
gonna
like a
just
tiny
follow behind
suitcase
to-
and then a big bag of yarn.
Okay, he's got them both. Maybe Laszlo's carrying the yarn bag.
And Lewis himself, he doesn't actually he didn't bring any luggage, and he'll make a comment kind of under his breath. Did we lose?
I think we lost him because we lost the
yeah.
host connection and Fantasy Grounds too.
Oh, no.
Did we? I'm still in Fantasy Grounds.
Yeah, well, it says host connection lost.
Oh yeah, I see it. Yeah.
So I think he's gone.
He ripped. Oh, he's back.
Keep on going if I die, guys. I mean, my ISP is just being a cunt today.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So
All right,
Lewis
we got
doesn't have any
to-
luggage himself.
Off to food, right? We're off to the Black Dahlia.
Yep.
Black Dahlia.
Beautiful. You head over. It's like midday or something like that. So it's not a particularly busy time at the Black Dahlia. It's like a jazz club, so it gets like really busy late at night with swing bands and dancing and all that. But you recognize the masked individuals. Sloane, at the very least, probably has seen a couple of them just hanging outside, and the descriptions from your friends you'd recognize. But you guys will see that the ways around here will wear these sort of like masks just over their eyes that are white. You come in and it is almost completely empty in the Black Dahlia. It's one of those things where a waiter sort of doesn't realize that you're there for a minute or two and then kind of like bustles over. Brings you to a table and sort of sits you down, and you guys can sit and eat. What are you guys ordering?
Oh, Sloane, what's good here?
I do not know. I did not eat.
He'll snap his fingers and beckon the waiter over.
Hello, sir. How can I help you? What can I get?
Well, I was hoping you could give us good suggestions. What's the best thing on your menu here?
Oh, well, the linguine. Have to recommend the linguine.
I need your easiest thing to chew.
Well, that would be the soup. Got a very
I'll
nice.
take the soup then.
Very nice soup.
It's awfully chewy soup.
The linguine for me, for sure. Thank you for the suggestion.
And Fagin and No-Go Boat gives a cursed magic item to Laszlo. Thank you, my friend. I'll make a note of that one. All right. Your food comes to you. What are the rest of you guys getting? Anything interesting, or are you sticking with the soup and the linguine?
Sloane will just
Seth
have the linguine.
Seth will have the spaghetti.
As you sit down and start eating and chatting with one another, and you've sort of located where the university is, and it's not far from here, so within reach. A couple of students, presumably from the university, are actually coming in. There's a young man and young woman with him, and they both sit down at a table not far away from you. They've got a bunch of notes with them, and they seem to be like deep into a kind of heated debate / argument. You guys could roll me a listen check if you want to have a listen in.
Yeah, why not?
Sure. I could try.
Nope.
I have no points in listen and no points in to spot hidden because I'm old.
Oh no.
That all looks like
We're
fails.
all deaf as a post.
This
They're
is really
yelling in
good
the
spaghetti.
corner. We're just like,
Really good.
Yeah. You can't hear anything over the sound of slurping.
Yeah, you guys, slurp up your food, and the conversation goes on. What are you guys talking about as you sit down at the Black Dahlia?
Well, Sloane's probably just going to enjoy the moment of no focused attention on him, because ever since he's come back, all the attention's been on him, and he's he's really not used to that, and he really dislikes it. He likes to stay at the back and in the shadows and just do his own thing. So he's taken this moment to just relax and savor the piece.
I got knocked out, but Castor did listen, so he can hear if you want that to drop.
Yeah. Castor, you're sort of listening in, and the young man is saying, "I don't understand why the professor won't let us go there. We should go. We should go there because no one's had room for a long time, and it really sounds like it should be important." And she's like, "No. There's no need for us to go. He sent a letter saying that we shouldn't go, so we shouldn't go. And James didn't go, so we shouldn't go." James is an idiot. He didn't know anything. He's probably just gone off to see that stupid girl. I can't even remember her name. She's such an idiot. I hated her. I thought she was nice. She seemed nice enough. I mean, maybe not particularly scholarly or indeed even very intelligent, but I guess she was nice enough. The conversation goes on like this.
Castor will lean over and kind of whoever's sitting beside him, probably Mildred or Seth, and he'll say, "I think they're talking about James."
The one we're
Sorry to
looking
interrupt
for,
you.
James?
I don't know. It's about going to see a girl, and
Oh,
It sounds
So they-
like the James that we're
Well,
looking for.
well, Mildred, you have a pleasing disposition. Perhaps you could get some information out of them.
Well, let me just get my last bit of soup here, and then I'll walk on over and offer them a cookie. All right, let's go. She's gonna kind of scoot her chair out, kind of get her cane and walk over to the table and be like, "Well, hello there, youngins. How are you doing this afternoon?"
The guy looks up and is like, "We're fine." And the girl says, "Yeah, we're good, thanks. How are you?"
I'm doing quite well. You see, I just couldn't help but overhear that you were talking about young James. He was a friend of one of my grandsons, I think. And well, I've heard he's gone missing.
The girl says, "He has, and we were thinking about going to find him.
Oh, it's just terrible, isn't it?
He's just gone missing. It's been over a week, maybe 2 weeks now."
Oh, that's an awfully long time. Oh, my name's Mildred, by the way, Mildred Crabapple. What are your two names?
Oh, that's nice. My name's Casey, and this is Travis.
Ah. Okay.
Travis smiles and kind of waves. He gives you a bit of a conspiratorial look.
Okay. I'll be like, well, that's awful nice names you've got there. Rather newfangled, very nice. Mind if I have a seat?
I suppose. Do you know anything about James? We've been trying to reach out to Emily. I've got a phone, but I don't. Travis here says I shouldn't go.
Oh, well, sometimes, I don't know. Well, maybe we shouldn't pester the young girl. Emily, is it? But
Yes.
you have her phone number, you say. Well, I suppose
Yes,
a
a telephone.
call wouldn't hurt. You know, it's better
Do you
than
have a telephone?
conversing. Well, I have access to one. But,
Travis says, "I hear there's one at the police station you could use."
oh,
Like
yes.
in a quite pointed way.
Yeah. She's like, yes, those policemen are so helpful. You know, great for if you need to cross the street or all sorts of things if you take a fall. Would you mind writing down her number for me? I'll check in for you. That way you two don't have to interrupt your lunch. I've already finished my soup.
Are you sure? I mean, maybe it's best if we get in touch.
Oh, it's no trouble at all.
I mean,
Just gotta pull out a
I-
little pad and paper.
I suppose, yeah. Casey, she sort of buckles. It's like, I guess, and the nicety of Mildred just writes down the number. For you.
Oh, you're such a dear. Nice dress, by the way. It really suits your figure.
Thank you, Miss Crabapple.
All right, well, I can see you guys' this food is getting chill, but I won't bother you any longer. But if you you guys, you youngins going to the university?
That's right. Yes, we study
Right, well-
archaeology there.
Archaeology. Oh, a good topic, that one. Lots of ruins to investigate and such. But maybe I'll see you around there. I'll kind of
Travis
like
says a lot of stuff from your time, probably, Grandma.
Quite probably. Just kind of
You-
pat them each on the shoulder, put a cookie next to their plate, and walk back over. I got Emily's phone number. Oh, and that's Travis. He's our contact, I think.
At this point, as you sort of come over back to the table, the waiter comes back again in the sort of mask and says, sirs, madams, the owner of this establishment would love for the opportunity to meet with you all. Goes by the name of Prospero.
Why?
That's a fancy name.
Why?
I'll tell him he'll be right on by. And he walks away.
Well, that was strange.
Well, this has proven to be a very interesting dinner.
Perhaps where there are like 10,000th customers or something. Probably not something so innocuous.
Yeah,
Maybe it's their
very
100th
coincidental.
We're never that lucky.
Oh, Mr. Sloane, perhaps your luck is about to change.
I sincerely doubt it.
You watch as a gentleman arrives in a very nice business suit. This is probably a suit which is, Lewis is probably someone that's quite used to like identifying how nice suits are. And this is a nice suit. This guy has money for sure. And he steps on by, same mask over his head, and you can see that he's got kind of bleached white hair. In a very modern fashion, Mildred would definitely know. And he sort of sidles on by up to the table and says, good to meet you all. My name is Prospero. I'm the owner of this establishment. I really wanted to come and meet all of you. Who might you all be?
The soup is very good.
Good. I'm glad you enjoyed it. We use a lot of local ingredients, and they're very, very good.
Oh,
when Sloane hears that, he kind of just stares at the plate and pushes it a bit further away from him and sits very uncomfortably.
Very organic, very good, yes. I recognize Mr. Delgado. It's a pleasure to meet you, Mr. Delgado, in the flesh, as it were.
Lewis is wiping up his mouth and stands up and he pushes the table so that his gut can get over top of it. And like the table will actually shift like an inch at the force. And he'll reach over and hand to shake the hand of the man. Prospero, that's your real name?
Prospero, yes. My
Oh,
parents
Prospero.
were very, 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 very odd people, but I can't hold it against them. It's my name, and I'll own it. His handshake is very clammy.
Like sweating?
Yeah, maybe.
Does he seem nervous?
No, he doesn't seem nervous.
But
He'll do the thing that he always does, is like very firm businessman handshake, and he'll say, well, I think it's fantastic. I love it when I meet someone with a name that I've never heard before.
Of course. I just thought it so interesting that you were in my fine establishment, and indeed in Arkham, Massachusetts, what could bring such a man like yourself into a place like the Black Dahlia?
Well, I'm here with my friends, traveling, enjoying ourselves, and I asked our friend here, Mr. Sloane, what the finest establishment was here in town, and he named the Dahlia, and so here we are. Oh, I would say for a small town, the linguine is serviceable.
Well, we do our best, Mr. Delgado. We do our best, as I'm sure you're all of you are going to be doing here. Now, what was your business, might I ask, in Arkham? I always like to get to know my clientele, especially if you'll be coming back many a time, as I hope you will, for more serviceable linguine.
Oh, this trip is just pleasure for me, sir. Just pleasure for me.
These are your business associates? He looks over at the monkey, at Sloane's ragged appearance, at Seth's sweatiness, and at Mildred's age.
Ancientness.
What a interesting band of companions you found yourself with, Mr. Delgado. I'd love to meet them.
Oh,
Well, please then.
my name is Mildred Crabapple, and Lewis here, he's like a grandson to me.
I'm sure he is. And such an interesting monkey. My friend, you must be a talent. Are you to perform in Arkham?
I'm not here for that, but Castor Edwards, and he puts his hand out.
Edwards. What an interesting name. Not
Do you
one
know
we hear. Not one we hear often around here, but it does ring a bell, yes.
And
Where did you say
sir,
you were
it's
from?
Baltimore.
Baltimore. Yes, that makes sense. By the way, Sloane, there's no way you're hiding on that stealth check.
I just imagine him like
he's not doing
sliding
it to
under the
hide.
table.
No, he's not doing it to hide from plain view. He's doing it basically so he doesn't become so prominent. So we can still see him, but he's just sulking, so he's not like, so prominent.
Yeah.
And they won't give
Prospero.
him much attention.
Prospero looks at the monkey lads like, oh, such a fine creature. Looks towards Seth with the same sort of interest that he was giving to the animal. His eyes have that same sort of gleam as though he were looking at a fine specimen of an animal. Who might you be?
Hello, sir. It's I want to say the spaghetti is quite fabulous. And Seth probably has more of the sauce like on his shirt than the napkin like tucked like in his shirt. But yes, I was hoping to actually look through the Miskatonic University Library. I've heard they have some good texts. I'm a book dealer, sir. And he wipes his hand. Penhollow, sir. Seth Penhollow.
Mr. Penhollow. I think I might have even heard that name before. I myself dabble in the curios and the books. Yes, that might be a name that I recognize from Rhode Island, wasn't it?
Yes, sir. I have a card here, and he pulls pulls a group of crumpled business cards out of his pocket and hands him one. He looks like maybe he has like 3 left.
Yeah, he takes one.
Title.
Yeah. Fascinating. We must speak more, perhaps. If you're to stay in Arkham for longer, I'd love to set up a little meeting. We could have a chat. And our last friend here looks towards Sloane.
My name
might you
is
be?
Sloane.
Sloane. Now there's a name I haven't heard in a while. Pleased to meet you, Mr. Sloane.
And you.
What did you say your last name was? Matthews?
I don't have a last name. Just Sloane.
Ah, my mistake. I must have been confusing you with somebody else for a moment there. I could have sworn I heard Matthew. It is a pleasure to meet all of you. If there's anything I can do for you while you're in Arkham, please do not hesitate to ask. I would take immense pleasure. in servicing anything that you would so desire in this place. The Black Dahlia, well, we have really good people working here, and really anything that you might desire, I can make happen for you. Depending on your interests, of course. Such a fine specimen, says, looking at the monkey again. And then looks down to Seth at the same glance with the same look.
Laszlo is standing on Castor's shoulder, hat pushed back, glasses pulled down, and again staring directly at Prospero until Castor has to lean over, and Mildred and whoever's closest would probably hear, "Stop that. Just stop it." And Laszlo eventually sits back down and kind of slumps his head a bit.
Well, do you have lodgings here? I can provide them. Free of charge, of course. It's a pleasure to have Mr. Delgado stay in a place like this, as well as his fine companions. We could give you the finest suites available. And this is on the house as well.
We have other arrangements.
Really, where might you be staying, Mr. Sloane?
Where was the place that we stayed before? Wasn't it like a motel or a hotel?
It was
yeah,
the
you-
Roach Motel.
It was the rubbish, roachy.
Yeah,
Stayed
hold
at I think it's called the Miskatonic Hotel.
Yeah, the Miskatonic Hotel.
The one right by
I
the
just said that.
university.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Do you say that?
Yeah, sorry.
Oh, such a shame. That place is closed down a couple of years back now. It's interesting, Mr. Sloane. How could you have booked rooms there when it's been down for several years? That is quite a mistake on your part, isn't it? Unless you've been here before.
Well, we didn't book them. I was hoping to get the same room I had many years ago.
Ah. I see. That is a very plausible explanation. Well, there really is no other place to stay.
I'm sure we will find a place. And Sloane gets up. Thank you for your hospitality. And he'll start to walk out.
You're most welcome, Mr. Sloane. I'm sure we'll be seeing one another again. I hope to speak with you some more. As for the rest of you, will you decline my offer, or like Mr. Sloane, will you be slamming it? Mr. Penhollow, you could do with a good night's sleep in a fancy suite, couldn't you? We could get some of those books of yours, have a little read together. Maybe I could find you some clients.
Well, I'm always on the lookout for new clientele, sir. I think maybe that could work. If what you say is true, there's no hotel to stay in. And he kind of looks around everybody. Where would we stay?
Well, I have suites upstairs. Would you like to see the rooms? Come with me.
Oh, they're upstairs, and I suppose I can handle that.
I can help you, Miss Crabapple.
Oh, thank you, Esther.
Is Sloane continuing to walk out?
Yeah, Sloane has basically left the building.
Okay.
Lewis seems conflicted as to what's going on, but he's going to nod his head to Seth as to say, "Good thinking, good thinking." And he'll say, "Yes, we might as well see the rooms while we're here."
Of course. Prospero leads you up a flight upstairs and leads you to beautiful suites. These are easily the nicest rooms that you guys have ever stayed in, probably except from Lewis, who has probably nicer homes at home. But these are opulent suites. Huge bed for each of you guys, and each have a separate room up here as well. and shows you around. He's just like absolutely opulent suites, rooms, and is this to your liking?
Well, very fancy, Mr. Prospero. Yes.
This seems very nice, sir. Yes.
I think that this would do quite nicely. And you said this is on the house. That's really, we can pay for our rooms.
No. I will not have it. It'll be a pleasure to have you all stay at the Black Dahlia. How long will you be staying for, so that I might have the rooms serviced regularly?
Well, I'm not sure that that's decided yet, but why don't we start with a night?
Of course. What can one night do? Could be good for you all to rest, after all. It looks like you've had a long flight. We heard the plane coming in. So,
Yes. Certainly are well informed, sir.
I try to be appraised of all events that happen in Arkham, from anyone arriving to anyone leaving or disappearing, so if there's anything I can do, just ask.
Will, I'd like to do a psychoanalysis on this bad boy to see exactly what
I
his
was gonna say,
intentions are.
can I psychology him as well?
And I'm gonna
Just
crit
see if
that,
I can
please.
Nice.
I roll. So, that's a fail.
Alrighty, so on your crits, there's not a great deal you can read from this guy, but with the mask on, you can see his eyes, and he doesn't make a great deal of facial expressions aside from smiling. You definitely get the sense that this guy knows a lot more than he's telling you. I mean, it doesn't, you're putting some pieces together here. He was either waiting for your arrival, because you really did just arrive like 10 minutes ago in Arkham. And to have these suites free of charge. I mean, he's either looking to curry a lot of favor with Lewis, which is possible, right? Lewis is him to be a very rich dude. He is mega bucks. Or, there's something else going on, but there is quite a lot of creepy.
Is there anything predatory in that? Maybe perhaps something that Laszlo could pick up from whatever pheromones are coming off this guy. Is this a you're in my den, the meat that you look like a good specimen type of eyeing up that he performed on both Laszlo and Seth? Is any of that kind of viewed as perhaps hostile or predatory?
Laszlo's actually picking up Laszlo is weirdly friendly to Prospero. He's not picking up that pheromone, that scent of danger, which perhaps is more dangerous.
Okay, Castor would just nod and he would say, "Is it okay if I use one of the bathrooms while you guys discuss?"
The suite's there. They're all en suites.
He'll duck into the suite and close the door.
So, you go into the bathroom. Lewis and Seth and Mildred, you guys going into your rooms?
Yeah, Seth will go and check out the room. This is probably nicer than any place he's ever stayed. Usually pays for the cheapest motel.
Mm-hmm.
So he doesn't really want to touch anything because he thinks he'll ruin it and then have to pay for it.
Right. Yeah. Prospero will note to each room as a telephone, which is super high tech and super bougie. And he's like, if you need anything, just call again, free of charge.
Mm-hmm.
I suppose I'll leave you to it then.
Thank you for your generosity, Prospero.
Good.
Yes,
good.
I will definitely be recommending the Black Dahlia to anyone who will be coming through here. Thank you, sir.
Of course. Once again, if there's anything I can do for you, anything, I'll fetch it immediately. And he walks away.
Mr. Delgado, are you this known? And he kind of motions at the situation. Like, are you this known? Does this happen to you often?
It does happen to me often, but I don't usually make my way to towns this small. I tend to prefer larger cities. So it was a little strange.
Yeah, yes.
But as you said, there didn't seem to be much other options, and these rooms, and he's peeked into his own room now just to kind of give it a cursory glance. They are quite nice, but are you not concerned about your, Mr. Sloane?
Well, I suppose we'll have to try to convince him to come and stay. Maybe he'll stay with one of us and not take the favor of the gentleman.
Yeah, I feel like the gentleman just needed some fresh air, maybe some time to think. He just doesn't seem to know what to do with all this attention he's been getting lately.
Yes.
Poor thing.
Well, is there anything that I can do for you, Mildred, or for you, Mr. Pinhollow, while you're here to help in your investigation? Is there anything you need?
Oh, I'd like a first printing of the Bible, but that's it's a little book dealer joke.
Oh, no.
But no, I'm
funny.
fine.
I
Mildred,
think I'm
you
just
were
gonna...
comfortable.
Yes, there's a nice little lounge chair here. I think I might settle in and do some knitting, unless you would like me to call that Emily girl now. I could do that when everyone else is here. Maybe we should write down some
A
questions.
resplendent offering.
Oh boy. Let's see what happens while you guys are chilling out in the nice little Black Dahlia hotel. Let's see. The two, £21. We got to make Lindy into a super granny. 7 nat 20s for Mildred. That's amazing.
Thanks, so too. Oh,
Amazing.
yes. Maybe we should write down some questions for that Emily girl and maybe talk to that Travis feller once he's done with his lunch and investigate the university. There's so much that needs to be done. We just got off the plane and
Yes.
lunch was very delicious, though.
And at the
Is there
talk of
anything
that,
I
like
can
you
help you guys with?
Yes.
You need anything knit? Are you guys warm enough out here? Do you need a scarf or some socks?
no, thank you. I'm fine. But
All right.
yes, I'll.
Let me know.
He pulls out, opens his satchel and pulls out a pad and a pen and begins, kind of writing a list of things to do and questions and stuff.
I'll
Mildred
allow
will
you to your
contribute the same idea like 2 or 3 times while making the list, like spread throughout the other ideas.
All right, you guys make a little list at the same time. Sloane, where have you gone?
Cardboard Town.
All right, you you go to the area that you know to be Cardboard Town, where the tramps basically live and the hobos hang out. Where your old friend, previously the former Queen of Bohemia, Anne of Cardboard Town, ruled. It's a pretty dreary shanty. There are probably even fewer people here than were there before. You don't get the sense that's because they've gotten themselves out of poverty, more so that they probably just died in these horrible conditions.
Do I find Tommy? Was it Tommy or Timmy?
You don't.
Tommy.
Tommy. Yeah.
It was Tommy, yeah.
Yeah.
It's
Tommy is
wasn't
not
it?
here.
Okay. I'm gonna see if I can. I don't know. Just find a quiet place that's got shelter, and then just hunker down by there. Maybe an abandoned building. Maybe like even if it's just a piece of sheeting over the thing, just somewhere where he can just have some peace and quiet.
Okay. Yeah, you can chill out there. So back in the Black Dahlia, what are you guys up to? What's the first thing you decide to do? You're gonna call Emily? Are we gonna wait? What's the current team?
What's Castor up to in that bathroom?
Yeah, what's Castor up to?
Castor's sitting there, and he's been splashing water on his face, and he's sitting there and he's breathing very heavily. And Laszlo's walking along the marble counter in the bathroom, and he occasionally reaches down and scoops up water and splashes it into Castor's face as well. And thanks. And then he stands up and he kind of straightens his jacket as he's staring into the mirror. And Laszlo stands up and straightens his jacket too, and straightens his hat and pushes his glasses up. And Castor looks down and smiles. And Laszlo looks up at Castor and says,
Don't you think it's my turn?
and Castor drops his head. And he nods. And Laszlo runs up his arm and grabs his ear and exhales. Castor's eyes close blue and open brown, and he smiles.
And that's where we're going to end tonight's episode of Doors to Darkness.
Well fucking done.
Yep, that is our first session, my friends. So we got to end it there on an absolute cliffhanger, because there's no other way to end a Cthulhu episode than with a what the fuck kind of moment. So yeah, what the fuck just happened there? You guys are gonna have to wait until next week until you guys can find out. But don't worry, because while this show is ending, we're headed straight into our next game. Pruitt's staying with me. Jim Davis is going to be on DMing some Warhammer 2nd edition fantasy role-playing game. Beneath Dark Battles is coming up for its episode 1 as well. So stick around. But guys, thank you so much. That was fucking awesome. Both the players, that was just amazing. I always love our first sessions of the new campaigns. Getting to know the new characters is always fun. Getting to figure out how that group dynamic is going to work is always great, and getting to play creepy NPCs is always good for me. And thank you guys in the chat for all of those crazy donations coming in our way. We got through over like 30 Wild Magic Surges today, so hopefully chat has been appeased by the tricks of gods and the amount of craziness and insanity that you guys are getting into. It is a slow burn, the Doors of Darkness is going to be a little chill one as we progress into insanity. Our first half, once again, will probably be a nice little investigative slow burn, perhaps. We'll see. But let's go around the cast and crew. Did we enjoy ourselves? Where can we find you guys online? Oh, also, you guys in chat, if you're new here, make sure to hit the follow button and join us. That means you can follow all of the rest of the shows premiering this week on Encounter Roleplay. Let's start with Tom. Tom, what do you think, my friend?
That was a lot of fun. It's always great. The first episode's always great to kind of get a general idea on how everyone's character is going to be. I mean, you get a general idea beforehand, just a kind of like an idea they have, but you don't see it come to flesh until you actually start playing. So it really is like a first experience for all of us to see these new characters, and it was really interesting to see how they reacted and how they are. And one of the best parts about this about Call of Cthulhu and this game is that the group dynamic, how it's going to go, how it's going to develop and everything like that. So really enjoyed it. Playing Sloane was a bit harder than usual because he was getting so much attention, and that is something Sloane he doesn't like. He's not used to it, and it's put him incessantly out of his comfort zone. So we'll be interested to see how he copes with that. But overall, it was a really good episode, and I can't wait till next week.
Beautiful. Thanks, Tom. And Greg, same questions.
Oh man, this is always a blast. You know, it's interesting when you've played with people for so long and been GM'd by somebody for so long, and yet when you have a first episode, it's as if you're walking into a brand new school. You're surrounded by new kids. You don't know who's really nice or who's, you know, treating you nice and is going to be mean. And you know, you have your guard up because it's Cthulhu. So even though, you know, I love all these people, I'm walking in like this because I know someone's fucked up. And so this time I decided to be super fucked up. So you know, fire with fire. Anywho, I always say it to everybody, Grimjack21502 on the Twitches and the Twitters. Cthulhu 1 to 4 on Encounter Roleplay is where it's at, it's where it'll be, it's where it's been, and it's where it's going. So we are going to be back here next week. Let's see, I have on my own channel Pulp Cthulhu starting on Sunday. We're back at it. I have Firefly a week from Friday. We've got some technology being dropped on us, which is super fun. Learn by Play on Wizards of the Coast Saturday night, and then Atomic Cthulhu on Monday here on Encounter Roleplay. But everybody, come back here, see what's going on. Chat, keep those wild magic surges coming, because by God, they tell the story too. Next week.
Thank you, Greg and Lindy. Amazing job tonight, as always. What did you think?
Well, thank you, Sonny. I had an awesome time. This was fantastic. I'm really excited to see how, again, all the character dynamics go. That's always the first few episodes, is seeing how everyone fits in with everybody else in the group. And it's going to be real interesting. Prospero already creeps the fuck out of me. So that's, whew, that's going to be great. But fantastic. I feel so comfortable sleeping in this room tonight. But I'm hyped for next week. I can't wait to see where this goes, where this is going. You can find me online at LaughLoveLindy on Twitch and Twitter. I normally don't look this old. You can find me on Sunday nights on Greg's channel. Let's see, yeah, this way. For the Pulp Cthulhu game. And then Tuesday, Tomes and Tentacles podcast is released. And it's super cool. And Tuesday nights on my channel, Running Out of the Abyss. Let's see. Wednesdays, here, double feature. We have the Call of Cthulhu now, and then I have 3 hours to de-little old ladyify and turn myself into a Jedi. So I'll be back in 3 hours. And then Thursday nights, WebDM on their channel. I'm playing a bard. It's super cool, awesome, Dark Sun-inspired setting. Friday nights, or Friday evenings, afternoons, next week, Firefly game, Greg's channel. It's going to be awesome. And that's it.
Thank you, Lindy. Can't wait. And I'll see you in a couple of hours for Star Wars Rise of the Dark Side. It's going to be fun. Great stuff. Don, great job tonight. Love Lewis.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, just echo what everybody else is saying. This first episode's always super fun. I know I need a couple of episodes, even to fully figure out like who my character is, you know, because until you know how they fit into the story of the other characters, you don't know what their story is. And then that's the thing that I love that we've done all the seasons I've been a part of. I felt like all of the characters were all there to support each other's stories. I'm really excited to see how that's going to even be possible, because this is probably the wildest and most disparate group of characters I've ever seen. This is the most ragtag of ragtag bands. And I love it. I can't wait for more. You can follow me on Twitter at Jonathan Fry. I do Tomes and Tentacles podcast on Tuesdays with these guys. I just launched my own podcast, which is like high adventure D&D, called Dice Tribe. On Thursdays, new episodes, and yeah, follow me. Thanks, guys.
Thanks so much, Don. And last but not least, Pruitt.
Hey, man. Oh, my God. So freaking fun. I absolutely love this group of role players. It's one of the highlights of my week. Lindy, seriously, everybody's been saying it, but geez, good God. A+. So yeah, it's fun figuring out Seth and his many flaws. He obviously shows a lot of deference to money with the sirs and whatnot, and so it's just hanging on to that and trying to get Sloane alone. That's really all his goals, really.
Sloane alone.
Yep,
Sounds like a great movie.
Yep.
Just take it slow and creepy.
Yep. Yep, just take it Sloane and creepy. Yep. And so yeah, so you can find me on Tuesdays where I run my own Spelljammer inspired game, Starward Bound, alongside Greg, and you know, be back here next Wednesday for this. And stay tuned here in just a minute. You'll see me and Will playing, and then after that, for Act 3 of my 9-hour day, when we play Save or Dice at 6 p.m. over on YouTube. So,
Also, this guy has a birthday on Saturday.
oh yeah.
Happy birthday to it, everybody! Coming up.
I turned 39 on Saturday, so there you go.
There you go.
You look 19.
Still
Getting
got a
old.
ways to go there, Sonny.
Oh, amazing stuff. Well, yeah, me and Prit just can't get enough of each other. We're on next show together, and then we're on Several Dice as well. So you guys can have a choice tonight, and you enjoy either Star Wars or some Several Dice, or both. Who knows? But hey, thank you guys for joining us. It's been a pleasure, as always. And until next time, try not to roll too many nat ones, because we want to be laughing when you do. Good night, everybody. Bye.